exposing the real reason Harry's China stunt fell flat compared to King Charles' Canada trip.
What on earth is Prince Harry doing in China, of all places? It doesn't seem right. Royals, diplomats, UK politicians avoid China. Why is he there?
Well, this was interesting because it came at the exact same time as King Charles and Queen Camilla arrived in Canada. So first of all, just another indication of the separation of the Sussexes and the Royals, because this is a big schedule clash.
Well,
but
he
yes,
would have known that the King was in Canada.
Well, it's been widely publicised. Yes, exactly. It's another example of that. We've seen this a bit with the diaries clashing. But yes, turning up in China was interesting at this point for Harry. It was part of the eco-tourism initiative that he pushes. He's part of Travelers. I believe he's the co-founder, and they're pushing for sustainable travel. So he spoke in that capacity. But again, it's kind of the latest in what appears to be a bit of an erratic year for him. It was surprising. As you say, we don't see the royals turn up in China very often. I think the Princess Royal was there a few years back. Prince William was there in 2015, I think it was.
That was when the UK government was pushing investment in China, and we had like a deal. They had a state visit to the Chinese premier and stuff like that. There was a reason there, but
a clear strategy, a clear diplomatic strategy. So again, it is a little bit random, to be honest. And again, because it popped up that exact same day as the royals arrived in Canada.
Really, this is all he has left. Like you said, you forgot about Travelers, which he set up in 2019. It kind of feels like because there's nothing left. He's just watching Meghan go from experiment to experiment, taking his kids to school and dropping them off. But really, there isn't much there in terms of the man. What is the man about?
No, it's interesting to see where he's going to go, because you're pointing out there, it's all about Meghan this year. It's been all about Meghan. So maybe he just saw an opportunity and thought, well, who cares? It's in China. I'll go out there and shout about Travelers. But as we pointed out, it was on the same day that the King and the Queen landed in Canada. There's often a suggestion, I hate it, but there's often people who might suggest, oh, is he trying to steal the front pages, or is he trying to steal the limelight? You can't steal the limelight from that state visit to Canada. It was pretty spectacular. What was your takeaway from the King and Queen in Canada, Bronte?
Well, of course, it was the big speech. It was quite a quick tour, but he's really...
24 hours we were on the ground.
Yes. But goodness, he made an impact. I think that was the whole point, right, of these quick trips. It was about being impactful. And given the speech that he made in Parliament and the, underscoring Canada's sovereignty and really speaking about it being such a free country, and obviously this is while all eyes of the world are on it, because there are some tensions between Canada and the US in terms of the president discussing it as a 51st state. So it was a very pointed speech. It was a very supportive speech. And I think that, as I say, even though it was such a quick trip, it had such a major impact. So Harry's didn't really...
Spoiler. It's all about substance over spectacle. King Charles, steady and strategic, was on a powerful diplomatic mission in Canada. Harry's unannounced appearances in China, sensational but short-lived.
Didn't really have cut through.
You can't compare the two.
No.
This is my point. You can't compare Harry going to the Travelist in China and King doing this in Canada are two completely different things.
I used to think, oh, maybe it's a mistake, it's an accident, it's Harry doesn't know, the King's schedule. Now I just think they kind of piggyback off of it. So it makes it a lot easier when something is happening with King Charles and he's making these trips for Prince Harry's name to kind of be shoehorned in there. And I think he's doing that strategically because it just doesn't make sense. On the King and the Queen visiting Ottawa, I kind of felt a bit sorry for them, especially when I heard the King reading his speech, because this man has had to travel to Canada because on the south of Canada's border, you have this president trolling Canada. He's clearly trolling as the 51st state, but he feels duty-bound to reiterate that it's obviously a free and sovereign country. Why does he have to do all of this?
Well, because he's King of Canada.
Well, yes, I know, but I felt sorry for him in that capacity.
It's the impressive thing from the Kings, like Mark Carney, just recently been elected. One of the first things he chose to do was to get the King over to literally tell his southern neighbour, oi, if you even think about doing anything with tariffs, or if you even think of doing anything about making us a 51st state, your mate, King Charles, that you like and you admire, he's the King of Canada. And it was a real power move, and I'm impressed that the King didn't have to do that. And he went there only for 24 hours.
Yeah.
There was just a couple of engagements, then he delivered that speech. And it was carefully written, but I think it did have the impact. But going forward, diplomatically, is he in hot water with Donald Trump now for going over and supporting Canada?
Not.
I don't think so. We know that the president adores the royals, but also again, we've seen, as you've just said, I think he handled this very well, and it's such a delicate balancing act because he was speaking really as the King of Canada in that scenario. But of course, the UK government's approach to the US at the moment is very much to placate President Trump. So it was an unbelievably fine line, but I think he did it very well. And it would have been very important to Canada at this time when they've got that tension and they are in a position of great change with their allies. You know, that he was there and that he was able to stand up for them. But again, towing that line, so he's not, I don't think he will have upset President Trump because he didn't, it's the way he approaches it all. It's the soft power, it's the soft diplomacy.
Also, I think President Trump can be in no doubt of the esteem that the royals hold him in. He's the first and only US president to get a second state visit in the UK. Usually second-term presidents just get sort of tea and lunch with the monarch. He's getting a second full state visit. I'm sure there will be protests, and I'm sure that people will have something to say about it, as they did the first time around. So I don't think President Trump can be in any doubt the fact that the royal family have basically elevated him to a status in history that no other president has had. So again, there is this balancing act. But I also thought it was clever that before the state visit was made, they made it clear that I think around September time, President Trump has been invited for a second state visit. So really, they can be in no doubt that this is really just diplomacy and him kind of getting on with the job.
In the end, substance always outshines spectacle.
It's all part of it. We're seeing it's been such an interesting time on the world stage politically with the royal family because they are playing such a significant role. And as you say, there's seeds planted way back then. There's a long game. It's been very interesting to watch.
Yeah, especially King Charles. We pointed out he was going through cancer. I mean, this was just a 24-hour trip. So I flew with him, or I flew the Canadians, RAF Force flew a jet out for us, and we landed in the afternoon in Canada. We set off in the morning, landed, string of engagements. He was working all the way up till the evening, a night, and then the speech in the morning. There was a lot. I'm exhausted. I got back at like 3 a.m. in the morning. The King must be absolutely shattered. I mean, we're asking him and telling him to go and do all this kind of stuff. Is it too much for him?
But also, I want to ask you about on the plane. What was he doing? Was he looking at his notes? So you were on the plane with him. Can you see him?
Well, if you so you fly on these planes, it's not like you're all in economy. The journalists are all in the back in economy. Okay. Then you've got the palace staff are in what I would call business class, and then up the front you've got the King and the Queen, and I don't think I could get in 10 yards of that. I'd be jumped upon. But yeah, I think
try next time.
Yeah, I mean our TVs didn't work for a start. Sorry, Canada. Thanks very much for the plane, but the in-house
sort itself out.
Yeah, sort itself out didn't work. But are we asking too much for him? We're putting him in a position here where he's having to stand between Donald Trump and Mark Carney in Canada, or is this the role that the King should be doing because he's King of Canada?
Absolutely. And the thing is, he's the longest-serving Prince of Wales in history. He has been waiting literally his entire life to take on this role, and it's really unfortunate that so soon into his reign he was diagnosed with cancer, which is a tragic situation for virtually everyone, but of course for him because he has such a significant public role. I do think that this is the blessing of Camilla because I do think she kind of tempers him because she's obviously said she's concerned and he's a workaholic and all of that, but this is why that synergy there is so good and so necessary because even though to us it feels like he's working too hard, he's feeling like he's finally getting to do the duty he's been preparing his entire life for, and his wife is making sure that he doesn't push himself too far so he can stay with us for as long as possible.
You're exactly right about that prince-in-waiting role. I think it's not so much a matter of whether he should be doing it.
The King's visit. It stirred trust, continuity, and a renewed sense of purpose for the crown.